Board of Ed meeting. And it's so nice to see so many teachers and students and administrators in the audience tonight. Thank you for coming. Introduction of visitors.
I'd like to recognize Pat Fedor, President of the Administrators Association, and Linda Braley from the WFCT, among everybody else here tonight. Good evening.
And then Rich Muckle wanted to attend tonight, but he asked me to just let everybody know he planned on being here, but he had something else come up, so he couldn't attend. Rich is on our RTM. Okay, is there any public comment tonight? Any public comment? Okay. The consent agenda. Would somebody please like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the minutes from the April 28th meeting, monthly expenditure report for April 2016, and our food service monthly financial report for April 2016. All those are enclosed in our package. Oh, there's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion or any questions about any of the information? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, reading and review of correspondence received.
None for me. I passed one on to you.
Okay. We received a letter from Kevin Brunel today, and I'd like to read it to the board members and our audience. Dear Tom and fellow board members, I regret to say that I am resigning from the Waterford Board of Education for personal reasons. I have spent over 12 years on the board, as well as another several years on various boards and commissions. While I have thoroughly enjoyed my time on the board, I have to face facts and realize my work schedule has only turned more restrictive, along with other factors that would make it difficult to continue. I want to be fair to the residents of Waterford, the students, staff, administration, and importantly, my fellow board members. I feel many accomplishments have been achieved in the last 12 years. We have built 3 new elementary schools, renovated Park Lane, and erected a 90% new high school. There have been many improvements in curriculum brought forth by a great, hard-working staff. And we have a great staff, highly qualified administrators, and a central office that I cannot say enough about. Truly one of the best decisions this board has ever made was the hiring of Tom Giard, and I agree with that. It is with confidence in you and sharp new members on the board blending with more senior members of the board that I feel comfortable in my decision. I am proud to have served on the board over the last 12 years alongside many truly dedicated people, especially Kathleen, Ann, Lisa, and Greg, with whom I shared seats on the board for several years. Thank you for your support you have all shown through the years. Sincerely, Kevin Brunel. And we also received a thank you note from Joan Mullins. She's one of our retirees, and she was thanking us for the retirement gifts that we gave her. She said, Dear Mr. Giard and Mrs. Nazarchik and Board of Education members, thank you so much for the delightful retirement reception at Langley's last Thursday, which made me realize that my retirement is indeed imminent and has provided a sense of closure. Your reception, your recognition of our teaching careers certainly made us feel special. The crystal clock by Waterford, the citation from the Connecticut General Assembly, and the photographs taken by Ann Ogden will serve as a wonderful reminder of the rewarding years of teaching at Waterford High School. Thank you so much for all of your support. Sincerely, Joan Mullins. And Joan is also the teacher that planted all those beautiful flowers, the tulips all around the high school. I remember seeing her in the fall. She was out there on a Saturday evening, out there planting, and her husband was helping her, so we're going to miss her. Okay. Now we're on to Superintendent's report.
Okay. May I just have a moment of personal privilege? I would just like to publicly recognize Kevin Brunel for all of his good work, and it was a pleasure to serve with him. I think he was a very valuable board member, and he'll be sorely missed.
Yes, he was.
Thank you, Jody.
Okay, now we're down to the presentation of CADE Student Leadership Awards.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. The CADE Student Leadership Awards are given out annually to a male and female student at the middle school and high school level here in Connecticut. CADE stands for the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, so it's really the board's opportunity to honor 4 students each spring who are most deserving. Criteria for this year's awards set by CADE include willingness to take on challenges, capability to make difficult decisions, concern for others, ability to work with others, willingness to commit to a project, diplomacy, ability to understand issues clearly, and ability to honor a commitment. We have 4 wonderful students here tonight that the board is going to honor. We have both principals here tonight to say a few words about each of their students, and board chair Jody Nazarchek will join the principal up front for the presentation of the awards. I'd like to start with Mr. Sachs.
It's a real privilege this evening to speak to really wonderful students that I can start with Anna Hunter. She'd like to come up, please. So at Clarkland we have a motto that one person can make a difference. No one embodies those words more than both team member and Hunter. This young lady impacts everyone around her with a vibrant personality that speaks to the sheer power of kindness. Her leadership, diplomacy, and most importantly, thoughtfulness are most evident in her work at school and her passion for her hobby of dance. Anna is an incredible student. She's made high honors every single trimester at Parkland, but more impressively, she enjoys helping other students who have a harder time with their studies. Giving back so easily to this exceptional young lady. She was a Girl Scout. She has been a member of the Clarkland Student Council for the past 2 years. She performs in band at the middle school as well. She loves to entertain others, and of course, the discipline involved in making and practicing music is perfect fit for her. What is even more noteworthy is that she serves as a state mentor at Clarkland. This allows her to affect younger students positively by being the perfect role model for them. Working with children is natural for Anna. She uses dance as a vehicle to connect with the many students who look up to her. She is an assistant instructor at the studio Broadway Kids and Company School of Performing Arts. There she works with girls and boys who are 5 to 7 years old. She not only shows them basic combinations and new steps, but helps them in any way they need. She calls these young people in her charge my kids. For her efforts in supporting others at school and in the community, Anna has won the respect and admiration of peers and adults. She is really all about being there for people in a sweet and friendly fashion. Her teachers feel that most awards could not even begin to do her justice. This special accolade is a small thank you to the fact that the world will continue to be a better place for you and us. Derek. Our next recipient is the Superintendent Cave Award from Clarkland, a member of the 8th grade football team as well. Derek Burrows is a fiercely competitive student. He's an athlete who definitely possesses a softer side, however. In his truest sense, he's a team player who is executive active leadership daily. He sees values in all individuals, and he's determined to bring them out in not only himself but in others. One of us. In short, he's a superstar in the system being one of the guys. Wayne is Derek Burrows' blood. He excels and pushes his teammates in various sports. He has played Little League as well as any baseball for 4 years, and he's been to the one from All-Stars to a berth in the New England tournament last season. He also participated in basketball for one for recreation for 4 years, and he's been a member of the town's football Lancers for 6 years. During his captain, part of that time. His passion for sports is even extended to the fantasy football group, the ping pong club at school, and skiing with his family. His accomplishments extend to the classroom as well, with Derek employs the 3 C's: confidence, courage, and conviction. He achieves at extremely high levels, but also lifts everyone else to greater heights with him. He has made honors every trimester of middle school, but as usual with him, the numbers do not tell the whole story. He is an upstander who is unafraid to make difficult choices and statements without restraint when it is time to focus and get serious and thoughts and be kind to others. He touts the fun side of learning by being fully engaged and enthusiastically sharing a wonderful sense of humor. Jared has won both athletic and academic awards over the past few years. He cannot and does not accept mediocrity. However, his greatest asset is that he never loses sight of the personal side of his human connections in sports and at school. When he is involved, we are all with him. I'd like to call Principal Andre Hauser to the front, please. I'm Louis. Come on up. Elena should probably look familiar to many of you. If you haven't seen her on stage, you should have. She's involved in basically every sort of performance art we have. Whether it's Waterford Drama, the chamber choir, the jazz band, or the chamber orchestra, she is one of those featured people. She's a standout in all of them. And why does she stand out? Well, first of all, incredible talent. She's got a beautiful voice. I don't know how many instruments she plays. Every time I look at the stage, you're playing a different one. Who knows? That's all of them. And that speaks to her work ethic. She's got an incredible work ethic. She's got this drive to do well. But even more important, she's got this drive to use that talent to help others. She is about as kind a student you're ever going to find. And half the time, if I come into a music class to observe it, she's actually doing the teaching. I'm not kidding. She's arranged music for them. She's taught other students in the music theory classes things that are just natural to her that are a real reach for the rest of them. So she's always giving, whether it's in the classroom or outside of the classroom. Her talent is such that she's been recognized in a number of different ways. She's been selected for the Connecticut Eastern Region Honor Choir, which for most students would be that sort of high school career highlight. Good. And she's also been selected for the Connecticut Statewide Music Educators Association All-State Honor Choir and the National Association for Music Educators National Honor Choir. So when we had to pick this year's Connecticut Association of Schools Performing Arts Student of the Year, it was a natural that we would select her. At the same time, she's a member of the French and National Honor Society. She's active in the greater community as well. She's a junior volunteer member of the Curricular Fire Department. She's a counselor at the Guard Arts Theater's Summer on Stage program. And she volunteers at church suppers and movie nights at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church. Somehow, she still manages to find time to be an excellent student. She's graduating with a 3.79 GPA in the top 10% of her class. So, next up is Dylan Vitale. We weren't sure Dylan was going to make it here tonight, but he beat those Stonington tennis players quickly enough. Dylan is going to be playing in the ECC Championship final round doubles tomorrow, right? So, good luck. He's one of the most hardworking, driven students in our school, and it's not about himself. It's about the positive impact he can have on the rest of us. He's got a high degree of involvement. There really aren't any activities that don't somehow have Dylan's fingerprints on them. Like I mentioned, an excellent tennis player. He's a member of his class council throughout high school. He served for 2 years as his class president and is currently his class treasurer. He's a member of the Science World and Model United Nations. He's a peer tutor, helping students who struggle more than him with their classwork, and a member of the National Honor Society. Now, Dylan and I have known each other basically since we got to the high school. We've worked together on all kinds of different things, class meetings, fundraisers, school events. Dylan is perfectionist. He's focused on making sure all of those details line up and are taken care of so that things run smoothly. He follows through to make sure anything he's involved with is a success, and in doing so, he's got this incredibly positive impact on school community and school spirit. As a matter of fact, if you've been to any of our basketball games last year and you saw a Lancer running around basically acting like a crazy man trying to get people excited, it's a lot like him. He's also a senior mentor for the youth leadership training that we've got going on this week. And in addition to all of that he's doing around the school, Dylan is one of the most driven academically that I've ever seen. He started his class with a 3.99 GPA. We need to talk about the last 100. In his junior year, he was just warming up. He took advanced placement classes in history, English, and science. And his senior year, a year in which take it easy. He has set the record, I think, for the most advanced placement and UConn college level courses I've ever seen a student take in 1 year successfully. He's taken AP or UConn ECE courses in English, biology, calculus, psychology, and physics, plus he's also taking anatomy and physiology.
Wow.
So he's busy. Last year as a junior, we selected him as Rotary Scholar of the Year, and that last year was one of only 5 awards that he was selected for by our faculty. So, one of the hardest working young men I know, sure to be a success in anything he does.
What most of you don't know, too, is Dylan would help me out in the Booster Club stand during halftime all the time, too, because we were short-handed. So he does a lot of things. He's such a good kid. All 4 of them are.
Congratulations to 4 wonderful students, and I think we all walk away very impressed. Now on to another group of great students. They are students from Great Neck who are here tonight to share their inventions. Great Neck participated this year in the Invention Convention, which is a national program, and really urges kids to use critical thinking and creative thinking and innovation. And I had the opportunity last month to be a judge in their competition, and was not bribed in any way, but certainly walked away very impressed with the poise that our students displayed in presenting their inventions, and took it very, very seriously. So I'd like to thank our students for their hard work, and now introduce Principal Pat Fedor, who will introduce her team of people here tonight.
And this is your first year. We tried to bribe them. We wouldn't take it. All of our 5th graders at Great Neck participated in the Invention Convention. And they were charged with the idea of looking for a common everyday problem and how to make that better, how to fix it. So they all participated. They started in October and they worked until April. And then we had community judges, Mr. Giard being one of them. We selected 7 or 8 students from that group, and they went on to the UConn event. So they were in the middle of 1,200 other students, and they had to present. Mom's shaking her head. They spent the day at the Ample Pavilion, and they presented their inventions, and we're very proud of all of our 5th graders, and certainly for the ones who went on to the next level. So they're going to, I'll hand their posters. They're just going to very briefly show you what their problem was and how they solved it. And Mara, are you ready? You're ready. This is how it works every day. I try to take stuff into class. So excuse the back of the poster, but is that going to work for everybody?
Yeah.
Mark, can you tell me what your problem was and how you solved it?
Okay. So my invention is called the Train Easy. The problem that it solves is like when you go to train your dog, you have to carry the keys at least. So this solves it. And also for say your dog is hungry, you don't have to pull thirsty. You don't have to pull out the water bottle. They can when they get thirsty, they just drink from your pocket pretty much because it fills up with water when they go this.
That's great.
Yeah, but now thank you, Mara. Maybe you can just take it right over to the side and that you can have the next one. You know, do you think it might be easier if they left them right up there and you can
We can just
turn
turn.
a little bit?
Yeah.
The next student is Sarah McDougall, who did ask me today how long she had. So Sarah, what was your problem?
So my problem was that my sister always said that her finger hurt and she wanted a Band-Aid. But you can't really have a Band-Aid for, if your finger hurts, it only stops bleeding. So I thought of putting a heat patch on a Band-Aid so that it would numb the pain and then it would get warm so that it would feel good on your hand. And I was directing it towards kids because grown-ups would usually put like hot bags on the back or something. But a kid, it's not really like that usual for them to have like a hot bag on them. So I just made it like kid-friendly by using a Band-Aid. And you can mostly use it on any Band-Aid. So if it's like a big thing, like you could put it like if it was on your arm. And this one is just a pain. And this one is, it's mostly like if you would get a shot at the doctor's office, it would absorb the blood, but then it would like numb the pain, like the soreness that you would have in it.
And the next student, Aaliyah Banks. What was your problem, Aaliyah?
That one, I was that ironing my hair, I would get like burns sometimes. So my solution was to use the hot blocker and the hot blocker kids. Hot blocker kids help when you are because like if like don't like to see the flat ironing coming near their hair, so this would block it. When comes here, there's a head. This one goes to the adult. It covers up their head, but they're not such as it mostly goes to anybody. And
Nice job.
So my invention is the drawstring backpack. The reason I made this is because every time I went to the beach and my friends, we would always get sunburned by our shoulders. So every time we put on one of our drawstring backpacks, it would always like irritate our shoulders really much. So I made a pad that would unclip, and then you could adjust it onto your bag. So then you could put it on your shoulders, and then it would soothe your shoulders. Because they don't make them for these things.
Very good.
My invention is the Lipsy Liner. It is a cupcake liner with two tabs on the sides which allow you to get the cupcake out of the pan easily, safely, and quickly while the pan is still hot. This is mostly towards anyone who bakes at home or cooks. And yeah, the demonstration purposes are just lift it up, and when it's time to flash the decorate, you can tear at the perforation and it'll come off. I also received the Recognized Inventor Award, and I was selected to participate in the creation of a website for the Young Innovative Project at Syracuse University, sponsored by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services. So it's basically a website that has tools for teachers and things for kids that promote innovation for kids, use critical thinking. But the highlight of it is a little Young Innovative Hall of Fame, which will have little kids interview video calls of 50 kids, and I've lucky enough to be chosen to be one of them. There's a video of myself presenting my invention, so audition for the challenge.
Brianna said if she wins, the winner goes to the Tonight Show, so we're planning a trip.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Brianna. Thank you.
Impressive young people, and I look forward to seeing you on Shark Tank one day. So, well done. I'd like to recognize two of our teacher retirees tonight who were unable to make it to the recent teacher retiree gathering. Sure. That's probably a good idea. Yeah. We'll pause, and if
you'd like to,
kids want to leave that way, you're not.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Great job.
Nice job.
Oh yeah, very poised. Yeah, I was impressed. Great job, everybody.
Good job.
Great. Thank you. As I began to say, we'd like to honor two of our teacher retirees tonight who were unable to make it to a recent gathering. Both retirees, Diane Offinger and Walt Canova, have had very distinguished careers here in Waterford, and their dedication to our students will certainly be missed. In addition to a gift from the Board of Education, Board of Ed member and State Representative Kathleen McCarty had the state legislature issue official citations in the name of each retiree. I'd like to have Chair Nazarchik and State Representative McCarty.
And the retirees.
And the retirees.
Can't forget that.
Thank you. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here at tonight's Board of Ed meeting. And one of the nicest parts about being a state representative is to honor people and recognize them for their great achievements. So tonight, it is my pleasure, and I would like to call on Walt Canova. Will you come forward, please? Walt's citation from the state, if you don't mind, Walt. And then for Diane, it says exactly the same thing, but it came out to here in the time, so I won't put you through his life, but first, congratulations, Walt. Thank you so much for doing and doing the service. The citation is an official citation and reads. It's introduced by myself and State Senator Paul Samuka. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Walter Canova in recognition of your 18 years of dedication and commitment as an educator in Waterford Public Schools. You have enriched the lives of countless students who have been fortunate enough to be in your classroom. Your outstanding contributions will be remembered for years to come. Congratulations on this honorable recognition of a job well done and an educational career well spent. Best wishes in all of your future endeavors. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion for you and expresses the hope for continued success. It was dated a little earlier on the 12th of May, and it's signed by President Martin Blooming, Pro Tem, Speaker of the House, J. Brendan Sharkey, and of course the Secretary of the State, Denise Canal. So, well, I hope you will enjoy this in good health, and we thank you very much for your many years of wonderful service to our students. Thank you. Well, it does say the same thing, Diane, so I won't read it, but this is for third year, because
Thank you very much for all your dedicated service to our children. I wish you the very best.
Just a couple other announcements under the superintendent's report before we move on with the meeting. I want to thank Quaker Hill and Oswegatchie School for the wonderful student work displayed in both the hallway and the board conference room. We thank them for their hard work. I want to just provide an update. We've solidified a date for the Strategic Coherence Planning Kickoff meeting. That meeting is scheduled for June 9th at 5:30. The committee is comprised of 22 people, including Board of Ed members, central office, building administrators, teachers, and parents. So we look forward to getting that process started just before the summer. This past Monday concluded with the annual Spring Rotary Luncheons. Went over the course of 5 weeks. Waterford students in grades 5 through 12 are recognized for their service in the community. Each week I left those lunches so impressed with what great students we have here in Waterford, and I think tonight shows you for yourself. I had the opportunity this past Monday to attend an opiate task force meeting held by the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments. It's a new task force, obviously with everything that's going on in the community. The Council of Governments for Southeastern Connecticut asked superintendents to attend and provide some input on what resources they could provide us with as a school district, so I will be sure to keep the board updated on the progress of that group. I want to also recognize that we have a blossoming partnership with the Southeastern Connecticut Chinese School. They're an organization that provides Chinese language instruction on the weekends here in Southeastern Connecticut. We are looking to partner with them this summer to offer a Chinese summer academy where students in grades 3 through 8 would participate in a week-long session, really an introduction to the language and culture of China. So parents out there, please look for that flyer. It's also posted on the home page of our website. So we look forward to hopefully filling 3 weeks with interest from our students and families. As you know, the end of the year is fast approaching. I'm not going to say how many days, but we have 5th grade promotions coming up starting with June 6th, 3 nights in a row. We have middle school promotion on Monday the 13th and high school graduation on Tuesday the 14th. So a lot of great events to look forward to, and plenty of school events happening almost daily. So that concludes the superintendent's report for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, now we're down to committee and other reports. We're moving on to the Board of Ed Finance Subcommittee. Review and discussion of our May 19, 2016 meeting concerning the budget reduction. And that was enclosed in our packet.
Sure. Finance Subcommittee met last Thursday, May 19th, to discuss recommendations for the $461,000 reduction in the 16-17 budget. There's information included in your board packets. We'll be looking for board action during new business on those recommended cuts. Subcommittee had much discussion and debate around those cuts. I will say that the 2 goals of the cuts that administration recommended were least impact the students and keep all staff employed. The plan before you tonight preserves those goals, so I look forward to more discussion under new business. I don't know if any committee members have anything to add at this point.
Greg, did you want to say anything now, or no? Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any other committee reports? Something I wanted to say something. What's going on in Hartford?
Well, just to follow up a little bit in what Superintendent Giard just said about the opiate bill, tomorrow morning the governor will sign into law the comprehensive opiate bill, which will do a lot of good to try to curb the epidemic. There's a lot in the bill. It took all the pieces that related to this epidemic and put them all together into a comprehensive bill, so there will be a signing on that tomorrow. Several education bills, as you know, have gone through, and if the board would like, I can with Tom we can put together a number of them that stand out. There were a few that I particularly thought were of great interest to our community. Student data privacy is something we've talked about, so I co-sponsored that bill. That was one of them. Trying to recruit more teachers for manufacturing was another bill that I helped co-sponsor. So there were quite a few good bills that went through to help. Again, I just want to reiterate, we tried very hard not to put more mandates on our local school boards and to ask for, I know it's difficult right now with the economic crisis that we're all facing, so we tried very hard not to place more burdens on the local school boards. Those are two of the bills that came out, and I'll be happy to put together a list. I know Tom and I have been working on hoping to bring the PASS program here to Waterford. That was signed into law just recently, so there's a lot of good happening. You hear a lot of the other pieces, but there's a lot of good bipartisan legislation going through, and those are the areas that have affected the education piece. So thank you for that.
What about funding, though?
Funding, as you know, we had a difficult time here in Waterford with not receiving the funding for ECS, which has put a large strain on us, and hopefully as we go forward we continue to look in that area. I can tell you I did have an amendment that went forward to restore it, but of course it did not go through in the legislature. But I know this is hard for us with such a large cut, but I think we're all resourceful here, and I think we'll hear a little bit later as how we're going to try to maintain our programs and doing all the good work that we've done in the past. So funding is a different story. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee reports? Okay, at Youth Service Bureau, they're working really hard on Camp Dash. They're almost, the first 2 weeks are totally full. They have a waiting list. And the other remaining weeks, they're getting close to being full too. So they've interviewed all of the counselors and junior counselors. So it should be a fun time for all the students. We didn't have a early childhood governing board meeting recently. We did have a school building committee meeting, and Jay's been working hard trying to get the high school all finished so we can close out that project. We're doing a great job today. Did you want to report anything, or?
Well, we got some prices this week for the insulation replacement we had, and we've got the retro conditioning report to work on. So we're moving forward.
Have a busy summer. Thank you. Okay, under new business, review and possible action regarding the Waterford High School course approval. The first one is Digital Art 2, and that was enclosed in our packet.
So, as a way of background, this year we had our first year with our new art curriculum. We've introduced digital art as a curriculum offering. We had 82 students enrolled in that course over many sections, and there's a need to really desire to kind of go to the next level. And so tonight our art department is well represented. I'm going to introduce our art curriculum leader, Heather Paquette, who can introduce her members and talk about this, okay?
This is Kelly from Pizza, and we will talk about we both teach the digital art class at the high school, and People Brown is also
Hi, welcome.
and they connect
to their surroundings, to history, to cultures, and to experiences. And a lot of the work that they do is connected to art history. This is an example of a student piece where they're communicating an important idea on a contemporary topic. This was
be a responsible member of the social media community. Be careful what you post and think about what you post and the ramifications of what you might be putting out there.
So in addition to this creating work, they're also really learning 21st century skills like communication, getting ideas out to an audience. And this is another example. Getting projects inside of it. So digital art and design too, which gives students the opportunity to continue to create and work with advanced tools and skills, and to encourage them to become members of the 21st century global community. So they have just touched on the different tools used in the drawing tablet and help with the second classes that now they have somewhere to go with this to make it further and to the curriculum.
And these two pieces of artwork were also created by one of the
So before you, since this is just one course in the whole art curriculum, we've given you kind of the art scope and sequence, and then the standards which are in the art curriculum that were relevant to that course. We also have, when we talk about curricular adoption, you know, we generally by state statute could do it in one meeting because we also have instructional materials, which we, under new textbooks, the board has to sort of process those in 2 meetings. I've always taken the larger umbrella about textbooks, not to just be hard-covered books, but any sort of instructional resources. So behind the curriculum, you do have some instructional resources that we're going to do for this, and we'd be looking for, you know, final approval at the June meeting. But if you have any detailed questions, you have really 3 experts here in the front row who could help us add clarity to this.
Does anybody have any questions from the board?
I just have a comment. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you. I think not only is it wonderful, the artwork that's done on like a tablet, did you say?
It's done on a tablet, but it's all done using computers and software.
Right. It's amazing. And I also think it's so advantageous to have our students looking at some of the social issues that are going on, and they're going to be good policymakers going forward because it looks like they tied right into what we've been saying. So congratulations. It's just fascinating to me. Thank you.
I think it's important to note that the software they're using is really the industry standard, so it's really career skills as well, and really it's great software.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that throughout the curriculum being presented.
Good.
Especially with everything being so web-centered.
What I liked about it too is students that take this course, I mean, they could use it for college, they could use it if they go out in the workforce. And I'm very happy that you were, that second to the last page about, you know, having children be cognizant of what they put on their Facebook or whatever, you know, whatever else. So you did a great job. Thank you.
So in those topics, the purpose was too that they had to think about how to present to their peers, how to make their peers take notice if their projects are scrolled in the library. They wanted their peers to think, you know, about what they were putting on social media and wanted to capture their attention.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you want to certainly go, you certainly can.
Thank you.
Holding you up on this one. Our next curriculum is with our World Language Department, and our high school World Language Department has really came up with some great concepts to further expand world language and to allow an entry point into world language when some students may not have had that, say, in middle school. And so tonight, our World Language Department Head, Amanda Diogi, will introduce our World Language Department here and go over 4 semester-long courses. One is around French culture, one is around classical mythology, and then, of course, for Spanish for heritage learners, so a way to backfill maybe some of the written deficits that maybe some of our bilingual students have, and then Spanish for healthcare. And so, Amanda?
Hi. I'm just going to introduce my department first. Jen Fraser, Latin Upper High School. Elizabeth Tanya, teaches Spanish. Amanda Marquez, Spanish teacher. Marissa Rochia, Spanish teacher. And Amanda Cox, also a Spanish teacher at my high school. The world language is engaging today's learners. Our students will need to speak, understand, and communicate in another language at some point in their lives. So what are we doing currently to meet those needs? We are rethinking the structure of our courses, thinking what can we do, so we're sort of thinking outside the box, and we are asking ourselves how we can better serve the students of Waterford.
Why are we doing this now? To meet the needs of students who may not traditionally take world languages, to service a growing number of heritage speakers who have very different needs than traditional language students, to remain on the cutting edge in terms of servicing a broad range of students with different interests, and to meet real-world career and life needs.
As I mentioned, the books that we're proposing are Introduction to French Culture, Classical Mythology, Spanish for Heritage Learners, and Spanish for
For both French culture and classical mythology, as we put together our ideas for these new courses, we thought, let's go after these non-traditional students who are maybe a little put off by heavy grammar, but let's try to get the content and the culture out in front of them, and maybe we can put them that way. And also very much project-based learning for these two courses in particular. The French will be how to get around in France, what's the geography, where would you like to visit, what are the great landmarks, and of course classical mythology. How can you use that in writing, how can you use that in advertising, understanding just how rich it is that you can use for inspiration. So we look very much to try to appeal to different students and make this kind of a project-based real-world connections that we are looking for.
Okay, heritage learners, as Craig explained a little bit, they are not native speakers. They're not just going to have any type of formal instruction in the classroom. They speak Spanish at home. They're exposed to Spanish, they answer in Spanish, they understand perfectly. They're really good at speaking, they're really good at understanding. Where they have difficulties is with the grammar, the writing, and the reading. And that's what we're going to be working on is to get them to be more successful. Help up their speaking skills, help up their listening skills, and then also work on the sense that they don't have to grammar, the reading, and the writing. Here in Waterford High School, the big initiative this year seems to be that we're getting high school, that our high school has these classes. I'm very excited to announce that this class has been approved for UConn credits, and these are college credits that can be transferred to many colleges. This is a really special opportunity for this type of student that may not have another opportunity to get those credits from another place. It is a 4-year course also for students.
The Spanish for Healthcare class is created based on the needs and wants of our students. We have many students at Waterford High School, especially juniors and seniors, who are interested in math and science and even further in the medical field, and some who already work or volunteer in that field. So this class is aimed to give them the real-world skills to bring to their career.
So we are working on not also going to Zoom, but also we wanted to go on the introductory courses. So we're trying to keep them especially on that level. We're looking to retain them in, of course, AP courses, supporting courses. We are looking to supplement our current offerings in courses that might better meet the needs and interests of our students.
During the curriculum presented today, it will give us a full year to be able to pilot these courses in order to allow us to design a curricula that continue to be more effective, engaging, and student-centered.
And where Amanda is going with that is, as you know, next summer, our World Language Department will really do a full analysis of, I'll say, K-12 world language, and why we've accelerated these opportunities is really to, have an entrance path to French, basically, to really, as Jan said, engage students who may not be that engaged right now in a world language with mythology, to provide a healthcare sort of track. So these semester classes really will follow suit with the same type of philosophy the high school has adopted, with having opportunities for history at a semester level and seeing how many semesters they want to take instead of just having the required 2 classes, and same with science. And not to forget the Spanish for heritage learners being the full year class, really then giving some of our native bilingual speakers that sort of those language skills that they might have missed in the home. So if you have any questions tonight, the experts are right here in this room to answer any questions.
Any questions?
The heritage learners, I was curious about going beyond that, beyond Spanish. Just looking at the demographics of kids coming in, whether like those, whether it's Chinese or...
Yeah, I think for those real, the courses in front of you supplement our existing world languages, really add another layer to our existing world languages in order to maybe hook more students. But Greg, that type of sort of deep analysis and really program review, it will occur during the full curriculum renewal.
Yeah. Well, naturally, I'm very pleased to see that we're highlighting and going along with our goals and trying to attract more students and captivate students to want to go on and study. So I'm very impressed, because I think if they understand the culture and the traditions and with the French cultural piece, it may actually encourage them to go on and want to learn the language. So it's good to see that. The only on the heritage learners, I just would be a little cautious. I wouldn't want to see the actual native speakers being all taken up there, where you wouldn't have them in the traditional classes then, because I think they could actually motivate their peers very well. They may not have the writing skills or the other particular skills that you need, but I'm hoping that they wouldn't all shift.
It's true, and sometimes though, because there's some gaps and deficits, students actually then just take a different language. So they might know how to speak, say, Spanish and English, but because of the language, the written communication gaps, they may have be encouraged to just try like Latin or French just as a start over. Mm-hmm. And I think this type of course can allow kids to then flourish in their native tongue by having those sort of written communication gaps. So I don't think it's moving students from sort of the classic Spanish. I think it's really almost allowing them kind of a clean entrance point to really excel then and going deeper.
But that's my concern. But would they come out? Because I would hope they would go on to the regular Spanish classes and absorb some of the grammar. So I just would hope some would stay in the classroom.
A student would be eligible to take what level of Spanish next?
It depends. I think that's right. You have to look at the teacher to come. This is a class that has progressively. It's going to finish the boat. It's a different school.
Right.
When they come in September or in August, different classes you have and what happens to that kid. I have somebody taking my classes right now, my children are these kids, and the problem is that they're in a regular classroom and they're bored to death because they're in everything. Everybody next to them understands the written and the grammar because they know how to study rules and that sort of thing, whereas these kids were not teaching in a drill as if it were, a centralized class where we are coming off of what they know how to do, and then we're teaching them what they don't know how to do, and they don't have to feel embarrassed by the fact that I don't know what I should know because I'm 10. They come to me and say, you're 10, don't you know? And no, they don't know. So this is the way. Could they end up in our honors class? Sure they could. They end up back in regular, the regular science classes? Okay. You bet they could. They could also, we're looking at this class to hopefully make it a class that can continue on. If they wanted to continue maybe the next year, that it would be tailored to something that would continue the next year and the next year and be qualified as topic.
Can I just follow up? How many students are we speaking of in this class?
At the moment, I think
we have maybe 9 signed up for the class currently, but I know that we actually went over and met with the teachers of the middle school, and Jim was at the meeting and we talked about the number of kids that are coming up from something that could benefit from the class as well. So we are thinking, how many kids are going to service? I mean, at this point, roughly I think there are about 9 in the class, but again, it's going to depend on how many kids we have coming up from Forest Lane and how many kids that we have who are actually willing to take a class like this. I'm thinking of a junior right off the top of my head that I know that Elizabeth has spoken to and said, listen, it's the course we used to earn three credits from UConn. You're a heritage teacher, you get some benefit from that. Or maybe we're going to stay in Spanish next year, we're certainly going to hate it because we're going to have this opportunity to get these credits.
And so if it's obviously an undersubscribed classes, maybe the current numbers, it would be a 6-period assignment. And if it grows, because it's still early in the scheduling and programming for next year, then it would probably be a 1-section opportunity. And that's why we're really, as the department said earlier, just supplementing the curriculum offerings that we have now.
And this is actually a fixed assignment. I mean, this will be taken out of the for next year.
I have no doubts about the rigor of the course at the college level.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
And so like the other curriculum, we also then have the instructional materials in the back, and we'll look at the June meeting for full approval of both.
I was very impressed with all 4 of your offerings. They put together really interesting classes. Thank you.
And it's a busy curricular night, so continuing on, our business and finance curriculum has been fully reviewed and renewed. The business and finance is part of Connie Montanero's department, but since Allison is the only teacher, I'm going to introduce the teacher, Allison Woznicki, to really talk to us about the principles of management, the sports marketing unit, our personal financing class that's been really refined, and the online opportunities.
So my name is Allison Woznicki. I'm a business teacher at Washington School. Trying to get some new and fun stuff ready for the kids.
You have to click on the presentation button first, and then you can, then you can just sort of use the arrow button. Yep.
So we offer 5 6 different classes at the high school. We offer personal finance and actual online personal finance. Principles of Management 1, and then we offer a second section so we can maintain our purchase funding. That's Principles of Management 2, a junior intensive class, and an entrepreneurship class. So what I did is I just went through all the curriculums, I just updated them, reformatted them, and I tried to make them all more current and updated so they were all containing 21st century learning skills, more technology, and aligning with the state plan, Common Core, and national standards. Some of the things that I did was we added an online personal finance class. This allows students who aren't able to take my personal finance class because, as you said, I am the only personal finance teacher, so if it doesn't fit into your schedule, you now have that capability of taking it at your leisure. And it also allows them to learn how to take a online class without kind of call it the baby online class because I'm still accessible. So if they want to go to college next year, they now have that background, and it enables them to kind of get their feet wet a little bit, and they can learn. If it's not for them, then there's no harm, no foul. But at the same time, if they really enjoy that type of learning, they now have that experience. The online personal finance class is also great because it teaches them the 21st century skills about using a computer, how to, we did a little bit more online banking and things like that because we didn't have the paper and pen method. So those things are things that online banking is the thing that's used for thing of now. And it's kind of hard to teach that in an actual classroom setting because they don't always have computers for that aspect. So it's great because it allows kids to do them in that modality. I also added in a personal finance seminar for my students to take. So there are a couple offered throughout the state. One of them we have been going to for the past 7 or 8 years now. They just had their 10th year anniversary. And that is called Money Madness, and it's run by Instructional Materials. And it's a great forum for kids. They set it up so that the students go through different areas and different workshops, and they actually get hands-on experience. And then they always have a guest speaker who comes and talks to the students about different areas of finance. One of the guest speakers who really stands out in my mind, his name is Johnny Cupcakes, who we've actually built a great relationship with him. We go to Boston to visit him. He made his first $1 million at 19 years old, and he owns a t-shirt shop up on Newberry Street in Boston. And so he actually comes out and he talks to our kids about how he started this company and how these classes in high school really pertain to him and really fostered his imagination, his creativity, and how he didn't let people stop him. So I think this is a really great thing for kids. There's other reality fairs throughout the state, so if Money Madness were to end at some point, hopefully not, we could absolutely get ourselves to other places. Fiscal management 2, this one is probably the least that I updated just because I just went through the book and tried to update it. I always go through and try to make it as current as possible with whatever's available to me in the news, media, and things like that. One thing I did add is we do a regional marketing competition called the Apprentice Challenge, and they try to take 4 kids from this class and 4 kids from my Management 2 class, and they compete against 8 other schools, and they have 6 to 8 students, and they actually have to come up with a marketing plan for a actual company, and they find out that day, so every school hosted it in the community. We hosted it last year, and it was a great success. We did that at the stadium. And they actually take the kids' marketing plan and implement them into their own marketing and media. So we have guest judges from all around the community, whether it's 205 or Mississippi Port or other different agencies, and so the kids get that real life experience. So we really try to integrate more real life experience, 21st century skills into that class as well. And then Principles of Management 2, I think this one got the most of an overhaul. I tried to make this really authentic learning. So one thing we did is we revamped how we're using the school store. So the school store is actually going to be 100% run by the students in this class. So I generally have anywhere from 10 to 12 students in this class. This is my 6th class. And they have to take Business Management 1, which I say you learn the concepts, and in Business Management 2, we apply the concepts. So we're going to use it as a learning through service criteria. So we'll say, if there's 10 kids, every 10th class, you'll be in charge of the school store, and that would be your assignment for the day, and you have to make up any classroom minutes, as well as give up whether it's a study hall or advisory periods or after school activities to work whatever function you're working on, and then you can gain LCS hours for those parts, as well as the writing components that relate to that. So the kids can actually prove what they learned and the concept, the key business concepts that they have applied to this. We also have a new website that we created with the help of a grant last year. So the students are going to be taking over this website as well. So they're going to be updating it. It's called mywhbiz.com. So if you guys have a chance to go on and check it out. With different events, and we're going to try to incorporate a financial tip of the week on there so that whoever is in charge of that week, they're going to have to research and find out what's going on and how they can service the community. And add any new merchandise or anything else that we're selling in the school store. And eventually, we're going to try to do it so we can actually order things from the school store from our customers. This is linked from the business from the department page on our school website too. but I don't think a lot of people know about it, so we're trying to promote this a little bit more as well. We also updated and added a sports marketing unit because I have many students who are interested in going into that realm. So colleges have full courses offered to this. I try to take my third quarter, and this is what it's dedicated to. So the students actually have to design, and they have to create a team, a arena, and then they have to be able to use that arena for multi-purposes, whether it's different charity events, sporting events, or whatever it is. So we actually go to Dodge Stadium and Luncheon and they get behind the scenes scores. They actually have to then do a rationale paper comparing and contrasting the two different areas. And they have to decide which is better for them, and they actually have to design the stadium and do all the pricing and everything, and they get a lot of help from the people from Luncheon and Dodge Stadium. It's been awesome. Marketing, advertising, and all that stuff. So they actually have to come up with a whole marketing plan and create this entire project, as well as to try to integrate more technology, as much as we can. We use a lot of technology in this class. I mean, we are not up to the art standards, but a lot of the stadiums and stuff, they do design on the computers, but if they don't have that capability, we let them draw it out. So. Lastly, we're back to senior internship. I updated the curriculum. We have been doing this this is its 9th year. We've had over 150 different businesses in the community we work with. The last set of art that you actually saw from them, that is, I believe, a girl named Rebecca Fortier, who's actually one of my students who's interning for Killer Middle, which is a design place, and they've actually offered her a job for the summer. So it's really taking these kids in their skills and talents and really helping them escalate and learn these real-life technologies. So we really just try to look at the current job trends, and I try to help students look for the future so that they can research and really find a job that's going to apply to them in the next 5 to 10 years, not just what they want to do now, because as we all know, what we want to do now doesn't always pan out for the next 5 to 10 years, and that may not be what is needed. So we really look at job trends and help them elevate themselves. We added a more rigorous attendance policy, just because the teenagers, they really try to get away with what they can. So I've learned over the past couple of years and integrated more technology. And lastly, this one I don't believe is on yours, but our entrepreneurship class. Same thing, we just try to get what is going on in the world. We do use some Shark Tank in our class. We do a Shark Tank competition at the end of the semester, and the kids really do enjoy it. So it's kind of like what the 7th or the 5th grader kids try to elevate it a little bit, and it really fosters their creativity and allows students to kind of take what they see and make it a reality, and we try to do a competition out of that.
So before you tonight is really a full curriculum renewal of the 5 courses offered under this department, with Principal Management 2, Personal Finance, Senior Internship, and Entrepreneurship. The big change is really the honing of the Personal Finance class. The online opportunity is something that the State Department of Ed is encouraging kids to try to at least have that online piece, because most colleges do have for the classic lecture classes that we used to attend, it's really online. As Allison said, it's been a nice opportunity for kids to do it in a safe place. So if you do have any questions, there's the expert.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Amanda?
I just have a comment. Allison's done a phenomenal job for the year. I have obviously children who have graduated and gone through. You do a wonderful job. It's very important. Life skills / marketing and all the things that you're doing to prepare them for the real world. Very important. So thank you.
Kathleen, so I'll echo Amanda's comments, and we have personal experience, and I know this is so valuable, and as Superintendent mentioned, this is a long time in the coming that we have our students that will be financially literate. But my question is, so I know some of them, can you, for instance, take a course at a sequence? So if you...
The only course that has to be in sequence is Business Management 1, right, and then Business Management 2. So any other course you can take at any level or any time. Personal finance, we do gear it towards more seniors and juniors. juniors just because the material is in there. We're talking about taxes and cars and things like that. So until you're really 16 or working, like, you know, a freshman doesn't have a job, so the whole, like, where does, you know, who's my money, who's Uncle Sam, what is FICA? It doesn't really have to be there to do that. It's like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah. Great.
So that's one of our questions,
Yeah.
like, who is
Makes sense. Thank you.
When we talk about college and career readiness, I mean,
Yeah.
This is perfectly
Excellent.
fine.
Yeah. Excellent.
And inside your cover is, of course, the curriculum material list. Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Continuing under the same umbrella is our family and consumer science curriculum that's been revised fully, and our other Connie, our department head, will, I guess, introduce our other member in this.
I am Connie Montana, and we're in Georgia, and I study culinary arts professors, and Lynn does the living and child development, and Lynn does that on that design. And what I'm just handing you right now is just so you have some insurance.
It was on the inside of there.
And here, and mine is going to be a little quicker. So we have so we just hit the forward button here.
So,
Okay.
yep.
So, our revised curriculum provides students with increased opportunity to utilize the These are some of our classes we have here that we both teach. I forgot to put school in this. The culinary arts, we call it Intro to Culinary, just changed the name this year to Culinary Essentials. Along with that class, there's a class, Multicultural Cuisine, where we will be teaching them all about the world of food, the different countries, and even the dialect and the version of the United States. The hospitality food service class is called Coast Guard. It's a Coast Guard program. It's a national program. I believe there are 41 states that actually are in this program, and they can earn college credit if they do those classes. The child development is one of Lynn's courses, and early childhood education also. They can learn college credit there through career. Independent living, very important class, and I do want to say that. For our professional development, we actively participate in all of our regional opportunities that we have in fall and spring. It's the only way we can really get together with other teachers like us. There's so few of us. And so therefore, we also, from our meetings with our teachers, we link all of our Common Core standards and our national standards and depth of knowledge to design and instruct our classes. And again, these are the big three that we do: core, content, and we are hot. We focus on speaking skills. These are constantly done in the classroom. Critical thinking, planning. We organize kids to have all these organizational skills. Problem solving, feedback is instrumental in the classroom. Reading standards. There's always evidence, central ideas we're talking about all the time. The vocabulary, we want to have them match up with the domain vocabulary as they go into science. So when I tell them you have to explain something, they have to know it's a fat and sugar, text structure, and multimedia. Our reading and writing standards. They write the form to explain to us. They have to write narratives. These are all the things that we do in the classroom. Multiple sources, identifying real life connections, and in the engagement and in both my area and in the So what we did to revise, we aligned with all of our standards. And what we both found was that the Common Core and the national standards, it's just a marriage for us. We do all this stuff. We're reading through, in the beginning of our curriculum, it's like, it's crazy. And then there's always evidence of learning and our new course. This is from Clark Lane Middle School. This is Paul. She teaches the 8th graders in Instructional Culinary Arts. What she would like to do in the future is to make both 7th and 8th graders the elective courses. And then expand it to maybe some other kind of cooking classes, international baking, or increasing technology. What we'd like to do, hopefully, is to get some iPads so that we can update our instruction technology. And I actually got an iPad for Christmas, finally. So I was able to go through and get some great facts for nutrition, and I'm trying them out because I can use this is great. Right now, with my Pro 2 class, they're doing a foreign food cooking show. Only I don't have a camera, so they're kind of doing fun things. But in the future, that would be nice to have an iPad.
Talk to those technical people.
Yeah.
That art department.
Yeah.
Get them on board.
Assessment development. These are some of the things that we actually do. Our CCE exam, which not just being last year, the year before, so we're kind of we do a number of project-based technology-based and authentic assessments. These are just a couple of pictures right here. My postdoc class, they have to do a mock restaurant, and they have to learn how to design a menu and cost analysis. Then they have to actually practice serving and some of the skills that they have to learn and stuff. These are some of our instruction strategies. We work with Barnes, technology, and there's some of my students up here. Just the board. So we do an awful lot of this. We do demonstrations, readings for information, PowerPoint, high order thinking. We also try to get people to take the idea and let's go a little bit further. So, finally, our final reflection here is that we want to make our curriculum a little bit easier to navigate through. I know we put a lot of resources on it this year that we didn't have before. A lot easier, like if I would go or Lynn would go, someone could go right to that page and click on it and get that information. At least it talks to literacy strategies and assessments, incorporating technology. We're very much an integral part of the first we want our kids to be in the future, and we do empower them and the future. And what we did with Kids for the Future is an idea what we do. This last year we had in the base shop class, we had a subject board. Happening right now in class also, we invite teachers to be judges. This class was midterm exam. They had to sit at the faculty. And then also the more judgment. And they really put their heart and soul into these acts. And we do more than just cupcake competitions. So we do chili cook-offs and pizza contests and whatever the kids are interested in, and they come up with these authentic ideas. It's just fabulous. It's really a lot of fun. Here's a picture of the Mock restaurant where she's a waitress. She's a customer. And this picture I just love. There we are using technology. The boys finding their recipes, trying to figure out what they're doing. And then that was one of the This again is a competition they have in the classroom. And then Lynn talked about special instruction.
Yes, this is part of the early childhood education program through Three Rivers. So we use their textbook, and we have a common formative assessment for all the high schools that are using this program. The first semester is all textbook work and history and where early childhood is going, where it's been, and late trends. And then second semester we go to the friendship school, and every student is placed in a different classroom with a different incorporated teacher, and they've got kind of attached to their little ones, or as they call them, my kids. And well, what are we going to do? We only have 2 more days with my kids. And I also hold them accountable to being there. And I kind of equate it to how many sick days they have as in a real life job. So they have 4 sick days for the semester, and after 4 sick days, no more pay days. So they don't get any points. So they really think about it. And I say to them, I don't want you to not go to the senior picnic, but on those days when you're laying in bed saying, no, should I really go today or not? Think about what might be coming up. So that's putting some responsibility and ownership on them.
Another part she has is the thinking of the baby.
It's
really important in her child development classes.
They take that back. They take that little burger home for the weekend, and they are so excited on Friday afternoon. They cannot wait to take the baby. And they've got the big bag packed. And the baby really tells me every single thing that they didn't do. Every time they cry, every time they miss something, and on Monday morning they come back and they throw it out here. Take it! I don't want it, kids. I said, okay, so baby did its job for the weekend. Yes. Are you ready now to have a child? No, never. But then, of course, that's going to change. But, for freshmen, that's the right answer. And I'm happy to say the baby does its job pretty well. And when they actually look at what it tells me, they just can't believe that it took off points because they didn't wake up or they didn't respond at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, what they're learning really is child development, these are skills that they need. I mean, all the skills that we teach our kids are lifelong skills. They're career skills.
And
they take what they enjoy here, and hopefully they become teachers or chefs or, entrepreneurs or whatever.
But they're all going to be parents at some point. And I think that part is really important. And I do really hit home about the family being the building block for our society. And I think that's part of our major problem. And so I think saying on how it just doesn't go away when you get tired of this baby.
So this department has 11 courses, and I'm going to ask Connie if you could just maybe characterize the fashion design just a little bit, because that's a new class. And you see in the table of contents all the list of courses. You'll see the materials, which are really maybe the technology materials they're looking for. But if you could just give us an overview of the fashion design.
Well, the fashion design course is one of the teaching instructors in Kickoff. And a lot of our students were talking about, how to hem, how to take city clothing, what do you think of this, what do you think of that. I know between Lynn and I, we've had jeans and prom dresses and wedding gowns and so forth over the years. And so we decided, it's time for the kids to find out, the fashion trends and where they came from, the classic designs of centuries ago, and how our clothes have changed. And now the new trends, what's classical to wear, what's fad, or what's not, what's good, what's bad. Wardrobe selection, how to use your money wisely, what looks good on you, your color, your hairstyle. Everything is put together. So we have 65 students signed up for the class for next year. And hopefully in the future we can expand on that.
I think that's a really nice way to expand what's in a solid program here. So if you have any questions, again, here are your experts.
fashion designers, mostly boys or girls? I mean, mostly girls or boys?
I don't know yet. I don't have.
We haven't seen a list.
Oh.
But I hope so.
That'd be
We
interesting.
need gender equality.
Yeah.
I hope.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Well, I just have a comment on the early childhood education
Yes.
piece. Lynn.
Yes.
So are most of those students that are planning a career going on to teaching?
Not necessarily education, but something with children, whether it's nursing or whether it's OT, PT. And what's nice about the friendship school is I can put a student in with the OT,
Yeah.
the PT, or the librarian, or the nurse. And I give them one day with them and then one day in the classroom. And they came back, a lot of them come back and say, I really wanted to do PT, but it's so boring. I'd rather be in the classroom with so much, And some go in, sure, that's what they want to do, early childhood, and they come back and they go, I can't take those little kids anymore. I got to talk to, I need adult conversation. And then some come back knowing that they want to be secondary teachers, and then they say, you know what, I love the little ones. I can't deal with teenagers like me. I really like it because it gives them an insight into what goes on behind the scenes, how much work is involved, and is that really what you want to spend 4 years doing in college and then find out that's really not what you want to do?
Really, such a valuable experience.
It totally is.
And I just wanted to say that the classes my kids have had with you have still had impact currently, and more coming. And other children that my kids have been friends with who went on to be shops and went on to do the things that have you ever? Okay. But Lynn, thank you for just, it's been a great, really valuable part of what they've done through the school and are doing now.
And it's really, it takes off, it's building on what they learn at home, but some of them don't get all of that.
Parents are extremely busy.
They are, and so.
It's very valuable.
And so just very quickly, so with the culinary arts and with the new course coming in with the French culture and the cultures where they're going to be looking, will you work together at all? Will you be able to, with those classes, when they did the,
And that's the way I designed this class. It really is more student-centered. Once we go over the cultures in America, each student is going to have to pick a country in Europe or Asia or wherever, and then they're going to be the teacher, and they're going to do the PowerPoint and teach the class and give a quiz.
It is better, yes.
So it really is going to be a wonderful class. We did run it one year.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. It was great.
wonderful. And the latest reports are showing you're right on target with where we're going with the careers in this region. And I'm so happy you mentioned that you were number one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
I just wanted to say I was really impressed with the independent living course. I wish every student was required to take it. It's excellent.
And last but not least, we have our tech ed department head, Chris Cassidy. This department will be undergoing code change this year with 3 of the 5 members of the department retiring this year. Despite that, all 5 of them have worked very hard kind of updating the curriculum, getting it ready for the next generation of Waterford Tech Ed teachers here. And what Chris will be going over is the middle school opportunities as well as some of the new offerings at the high school. So Chris?
Hey, good evening. I checked my agenda. I checked where we are now. I'm watching. Match. I'll be short. I'll be sweet. Hopefully. I will not cover every class in detail. I'll do 25 of them. Unless you want me to. I will go deep in it. Well, here we are. This is some pictures from classes. I mean, we try to have a mixture of as comprehensive of a choice possible to. Up in the upper left corner, that's a new class we started doing this year called Innovation in Engineering, where students get a box of stuff, and it's all this stuff, paper clips and ballpoint pens
last exam, and it's taken out of that policy where let's go home with this. And David was working the whole semester making a bunch of things with that box of stuff. The one thing that they can do additionally is a 3D printer. And as you can see, the kid up in the corner is making a hydraulic claw that will pick up a rock, 12 inches away, flip it 12 inches high, turn 90 degrees, and drop on the platform there. And that actually is the 3D model that we printed the claw from. The lower corner, I see this is a student in the Fairbank class. You might see them on the front lawn on occasion, wearing their orange vest. And here's a wood shop student we have in the lower corner. We try to cover all students' needs. I do want to point out that our crew this year, William Armitage, he's in the middle school heat and design technology and multimedia. Walter Canova, who we met earlier tonight, he's in charge of transportation, advanced transportation, auto mechanics fundamentals, and advanced auto mechanics. Alan Carvey, he's our teacher who covered woodworking, advanced woodworking, photography, advanced photography, graphic communication. Me, I did drafting 1, drafting 2, architectural drafting, advanced drafting, construction engineering, innovation in engineering, fundamentals of land surveying, and then 2 new courses. I wrote up the computer science authoring and the mobile computer science.
Is that all?
That's David Jarzabek, he did web construction, intro website development, advanced web design, so it was a large undertaking, and I did apologize for the 300 plus pages that we reviewed. I'm going to move forward. I will talk about our philosophy of what desires us, and technology education, action-based programs, the hands-on programs. That's really what I think motivates people. When they can move around and do things, their minds follow. I was always an academic student when I was graduating from Waterford in 1990, but I always had become a shop line because it can only sit on mind and just move around and just kind of act on my thoughts. We try to further students' technological literacy and explain the realms of communication, production, construction. Give them confidence in work, problem solving. Well, guess what? That's what my area has been doing for ever. It's problem solving. How would you make a canvas that fits into a corner? How would you make a pinpunch in a lake? Back in the old days. Nowadays, we try to pose more higher-tech problems, like how do we make hydraulic apparatus? We try to link the academic disciplines. If we're not able to make connections with students with what we see in the classroom when it comes to our labs, there's really not a point to teach technology. There's got to be that why do we use it? I was always that kid in class. You ask Miss Jordan. What do I ever use? And she got explain to me. And so Tata's came, she tried to do a great job. Tata's, she lost in that class. Department goals, a fundamental knowledge about these areas of technology. And they pick on people, culture, environment, defense, the economy, you name it. We cover this in our class. If we don't show them a reason for being, or a path to arrive where we're at, we kind of lose this level. We assist in developing insights and understanding of applications of technology, whether it be computer programs or how to use table processes and systems. Develop an understanding of the interrelationship between technology, the sciences, mathematics, language arts, history. We've done this for years. We have that word not too long ago. What we were doing it for a long time. There's a museum, I think it's in Minneapolis, or maybe it's Chicago. It's a museum of industry. And there's actually a quote on a mural that I heard as a child and I always thought, wow, that's cool. And it was, science concerns the laws of nature. Technology applies into the needs of man. And that's kind of our approach on taking what's out there and making it useful. Okay, develop and refine cognitive and psychomotor skills. Research, design, production, analysis. It goes back to this. Tell me, and I'll forget it. Show me, I'll remember it. Involve me, I understand. So we always try to get the kids involved, get them moving, and thinking. Problem solving, decision making abilities. That's my mantra.
I tell my kids the first day of the class, I tell parents like, if I can give your students one gift, if they like drafting, or they like woodworking, or they like orangutang, or photography, that's great. If I give one gift, it's that problem solving. Because no matter what you do in life, problem solving is going to be there. How do I do my taxes? Figure it out. I teach my kids, you ask yourself that question, and the right question, it will arrive there. How can I tide my house? How can I, change the diapers for the first time? All right? And finally, gain career awareness. We know that not all students who come to the class will be architects or carpenters, but they may be working as an engineer on a job site where they'll use those skills. Not every kid that I have will become a land surveyor, but if they are a construction manager, well, they may know a little bit more about that land surveying that they have to evaluate later on down the road. We aligned our curriculum to state academic standards. These standards were 6 to 12. They're based upon the nature and type of technology in a broad sense. And more specifically, they go things like the architecture, CAD, drafts, engineering, automotive, building construction, video production, graphic communications, and woodworking. You have them all. And the nice thing about the state academic standards, the tech ed, is that they've already been aligned as well with the Common Core. So we spent a lot of time going through our courses, looking at the objectives especially, and saying, well, we kind of do this, but it doesn't sound like we do, so let's tweak it and make it look, it'll walk the walk and talk the talk now. After each class has no line. What we have now for major changes, 6 to 12 is for new units. We have offered in the transportation technology classes, mag, web, vehicles. And how to make vehicles that will ride on the cushion of air, based upon, electron repulsion. We have track guides, testing made for that. We've got some sample pilot units in that area, going very, very well. Computer animation in the graphic communications area. We're going to start working with that. Broadcasting. We're going to offer broadcasting units, maybe to evolve to the whole class in the video production class. Do full classes at the school. Well, based upon student need and state need as well, to be honest, we offer these 2 classes, computer science and mobile computer science. It's very hard to see any job, career, that you're not affected today by computer science, unless, of course, you're a hermit. But in everyday life society, we see everything based on computer science. Students are asking for it, so we wrote the class for it. And that class is going to start out with how a computer works, what the parts of the computer, up to algorithms, logical thinking, basic programming, troubleshooting, debugging, and then more deep order programming. There's other classes we have, mobile computer science, very much along the same lines, but we're going to take something that's near and dear to the students, and that is metric. They all have them. They don't have to watch anymore. Hit a button. Oh, there it is. So, but we have a little twist on it. We're not going to have to use your own phone. We're a very different.
Question about computer science. We have a lot of computer science classes going on, early elementary school through the high school. Wouldn't that be a little redundant, or do you think?
No, not what we're writing here. This is a very detailed class, and I would not only talk about basic, programming with, making things deeper older programs. It's not going to be redundant. It will be, I think, it'll allow the students with deeper skills to go farther, and those who don't have those skills, as you're referring to, possibly to learn. It's going to be a self-guided course. If they want to do more, they're able to do more. But not only should that at all. Okay. Based upon the students' enrollment, which you have
have you compared your computer science and mobile computer science components to what we offer with the new technology plan?
Where? I have not.
So with our coding that's going on in our K-8, this will, as Chris said, be a launching point for some kids to go deeper, and for the kids who haven't had that much into that yet, will be an entrance point. The mobile computer science will be building app-like programs that could be applied to like a phone, but as Chris said, will be built on the computer. And if we need to, in a couple of years, enhance this, then we would come back and enhance this. So this is really our first effort to expand our technology education program into the 21st century with these types of courses. And we'll have new faculty members too who will be teaching them. So like the instructional resources, we may, a year from now, have to come back and say, we need to ramp this up a little. But this is our best thinking right now.
And finally, the Studio Design Creation Society, and you can find a more formal course offering, and it may be offered as an elective. And as mentioned, our resource requests at this point are in limbo. We are replacing 50% of our tech ed instructors. And I thought, well, we could order or we could order resources that I think might be appropriate, but I'd rather give the students, or the teachers who we're hiring, that latitude, that power over it, because it'll give them a little of hey, I'm not just coming in to do told, I can have a part in doing it.
Do you think you're going to have a hard time finding teachers for these specific vacancies?
The two at the high school, one who was in computer science and the one who was in walking over, and the other one who was in transportation class, already had it.
Oh, okay. Good.
So, and yeah, if you asked me that 3 months ago, I would say yes, but we found some quality.
Okay. That's
It's an extremely difficult area to fill. There's only one college in the state that certifies, that's Central ARC, the Alternative Route to Certification, they'll certify as well. Well, we are fortunate to have already filled 2 out of 3, and I know Mr. Sachs is in process with the third.
Waterford, very sought-after school district to work in, and certainly Waterford High School, with its state-of-the-art sort of tech ed area, as well as the whole high school, also sought after. So I think that those are helping us attract people in a very, very tight and limited market.
Any question?
So thank you. And if you have any questions, this was a full curricular review, and as I said earlier, if we certainly need to then revise a course after this, we will. But I want to thank Chris and his whole department who really worked hard revising it.
Anybody have any questions for Chris?
First of all, I graduated from process testing and drafting before computers and that old. But because we learned by hand and transfer that knowledge into the computers, and I see that you do that too.
Yeah,
I so important.
I thought of that, and EV actually, when they walked in and revised them, told me, thank you. Because you should have drafted like that to make pre-TV models.
Right. Because you don't rely on the computer to do the work for you. You have to know how to do it before you get on the computer.
But they do at that point.
I thought that was impressive.
You're obviously impressed with all the curriculum. I mean, the kids are going to be able to build a house before they graduate. Would it be possible for us to see some of the videos that they make through these programs?
Yeah.
I'm
We have the video production class, video presentation.
kind of curious to see what it looks like. Exactly.
Web design.
Yeah. But, I mean, they're excellent courses. I didn't want to take auto mechanics, and I didn't like cars. That would be great. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're down to I, initial notification of text adoption and resources to support art, world language, business, and family, consumer, and science. And those are enclosed.
So those are enclosed. I've already spoke about those. The next one would really be around the science curriculum, and so we had some textbooks that we introduced last month, and the board had an opportunity to look at them, and
I did.
we'll be looking at a motion for approval.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion? Is there a second? Okay. Did anybody get a chance to look at the book? I did too. I was very impressed with them. I think they're excellent textbooks. Okay. Any further discussion? Now, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we have those textbooks now. Okay, discussion and possible action regarding FY17 budget adjustments, and that was enclosed in our packet.
Sure, just give you a little background. The Finance Subcommittee met last week, as I mentioned. The list in your packet of recommended cuts was endorsed by the Finance Subcommittee for full board consideration. Just want to spend a moment walking you through those a little bit for those members of the board that don't serve on that subcommittee. In your packet on the second page is a master list of all of those cuts. I'll save staffing for the end because that's the biggest cut. Supplemental pay would be the reduction or not adding a second assistant coach at the high school. Principal Hauser had proposed at the addition of 2 assistant coaches. Both of those assistant coaches were in the budget. His recommendation, and we adopted that, was to reduce by 1 assistant coach. I do want to compliment our principals. When we embarked on this process, it was really truly a team effort. Certainly, Mr. Mancini, Mr. Powers, Mrs. Valone, and myself at Central Office had some ideas, but we did tell our principals to look at their budgets and their requests with close scrutiny, and they came forward with nearly $50,000 in cuts that they thought they could meet in other ways. So it's a compliment to our principals and building administrators. Substitutes, we recommend most of that reduction is in substitute teachers and reevaluating our curricular needs and the amount of time that we plan to pull teachers out of class next year. We feel we can sustain a cut in that area. There's also custodial and secretarial substitute cuts within that line as well. You'll see an unemployment line item. We're not anticipating any kind of significant layoffs. Thus not incurring as much unemployment as one might have expected, so we are recommending a cut in that area. The board had put forth a $30,000 increase in professional development. We are recommending reducing that increase by $10,000. That would still leave a fairly significant increase in that line item. So the $10,000 cut is not off last year's. It's really off the increase that you all had proposed. Modest reduction in some music supplies at the high school of $200. The $4,000 reduction in general is essentially postage. We're using School Messenger more and more each year, and we feel that we can do more with it. Thus, that line really reduces postage. The tuition line item I mentioned at the RTM presentation, that's really a reduction in the Friendship School looking at their budget further. Travel is really reduction in mileage reimbursement for staff who travel either between buildings, itinerant staff, or out of the district. We feel we can sustain a modest cut in that area. Conferences, we had gone to a formula basically allocating $112 per teacher. We are reducing that to $100 per teacher. Not that every teacher will utilize that, but on a per teacher, per building basis. So that would reduce the allocation of about $112 to $100 per teacher across the district. Field trip signifies a reduction at the high school. General supplies, you'll see about a $20,000 decrease there. Most of that is ink and toner. Mr. Mancini is working closely with Mr. Crane on some print management and looking to ask people to print large batches to copiers versus inkjet printers. So we feel by some proper print management we can reduce our ink and toner. Most of that is in that line item. Commodities is really your utilities. That is favorable pricing on diesel and gas, as well as some projected savings at Quaker Hill due to the replacement of a controller card on the building management system. Textbooks, Craig, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the reduction in textbooks.
Sure. So with all of the Common Core standards that we've had the past several years, we've really revamped the lion's share of our curriculum. I think we've increased in the past couple years our textbooks from 100,000 a year to 125, and I think by bringing it back to 100, we're probably well sized. You saw tonight the types of requests. They're limited. I think when we have K-5 social studies, you'll see some requests and need for that, but I think we can do it within the budget allotment. And of course, we have 2 years always to use a textbook. So if I basically balance the needs in 1 year, and if I need to buy more than I have in 1 year, then I use the July money and balance it there, and it's all into the teacher's hands before the first day of school. So that would be the rationale.
Thanks, Craig. Library, the board might recall several years ago, that was an increased line item to beef up the libraries. This cut represents a $1,000 cut at each of the elementaries and a $1,500 cut at the middle school for the libraries. Principals felt they could sustain that this year. Used to reduction in the tech plan of about $16,000. A good chunk of that, about $4,000, is the reduction of a 3D printer at the middle school. They have a 3D printer now. This would have been a second one. Principal Jim Sachs felt that with their blossoming relationship with the Coast Guard Academy, who has offered to help in printing some of our 3D projects, that cut could be sustained this year. And then other items in the tech plan at the discretion of Ed Crane. If there's an ability to buy some of those items this spring to offset the reduction in any of these line items, we will look to do that. Obviously, the biggest item on this list is staffing. It is tough to get to $461,000 without looking at staff. I said that the goals of the team were to really look at least impact to children and to ensure that everybody has a job. The staffing reductions would be the reduction of 2 elementary teachers, grade levels to be determined. It would mean the reduction of a technology coach at the high school. That person would, with some shuffling, go to a vacancy that already exists. So what we tried to do is look at either positions that are unfilled or through a series of moves that the cut could be absorbed. There's no doubt that it is a reduction in service. When we cut a technology coach at the high school, we would have to patch together a solution. It won't be at the same level of service that we have now. There's pain with every cut. The other reduction would be the half-time building and grounds / IT secretary. Currently, there's no secretarial support in that building. It is those departments are supported by clerical staff out of this building, but we felt at this time it just as an additional item that was put in, and again, it wouldn't affect anybody. There's nobody in that position. And then because of these cuts, there would be a reduction in the district's responsibility for FICA. So part of this offset would be the absorption of FICA. Happy to answer any questions. Certainly, Finance Committee members there last week.
Does anybody have any questions, Stephanie?
Well, just the 2 elementary teachers there, that's a tough one. But do we have any idea where that would take place or the timeline that we're speaking about?
Sure. Right now, it looks like it would come out of kindergarten. With that said, if kindergarten numbers continue to creep up, it may mean principals shuffling a teacher from another grade level to kindergarten to address any increases in kindergarten. With that said, as I said to the Finance Subcommittee, if the numbers by middle, late summer dictate that we add teachers, to address class sizes, we will do that, and we'll freeze other areas of the budget.
I'm on the finance committee, and we hashed over this for a long, long time. We looked at all the enrollments, projected enrollments for next year, and I personally was not happy to see that kindergarten, the way they were set up, were actually larger than in one school than any of the other grade levels. That's not the way we should be doing business in Waterford. And so we're trying our darndest to, Tom is on board to realign wherever we need to. The real question here is what's happening at the Friendship School. We've got 110 kindergartners there, and we don't know how many of them are really going to show up in Waterford or not. And that's an impact that we won't know for a while, Craig, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we have anyone who wants to register, we have registration, but we'll have another registration basically come early summer and then late summer. And as Tom said, if the numbers creep up, right now when you do the division of 2 sections to 3, and you do the math, they might be a little low for 3 sections, but in short order, those would climb up to be really decent-sized classes if they were 3 sections. And it might mean that we'd have to either shuffle staff if there are areas we could shuffle by the division and the numbers not being too high, or as Tom said, we would have to then hire, because class size is imperative to good education, and we would have to then freeze other areas of the budget. And so, but that's not unknown to us before. Many superintendents in the past that I've worked with have done freezes occasionally in budgets throughout the year, and so if we have to, we'll make it work that way.
I know we did discuss that. I mean, we don't want the class sizes, especially in kindergarten, to be large. It's not fair to the student or the teacher. So Tom's going to, and Craig will be looking at them, Joe will be looking at it very carefully to see the numbers, and that's, I mean, the unknown is the Friendship School and how many kindergartners are going to be moving into them.
I know when my children attended Friendship School, I signed a paper stating that I would keep them at the Friendship School, which I did for kindergarten. But I know a lot of people opt not to, but are we able to get in touch with current parents and say, looking ahead for next year, trying to get a feel for, or is that kind of inviting them to say, oh, guess what, I'm going to jump ship and leave?
So we've done both. We've worked with the Friendship School. They've sent out correspondence saying you need to declare either here, meaning the Friendship School, or there, meaning Waterford. I know our principals are reaching out, looking at the families in their geographic region. So we've been reaching out. The Friendship School's been reaching out. With that said, we all know people aren't always timely, and there's other things in their lives that I'm sure take precedence. So it's daily that those are coming in. I know I work with Joyce on a daily basis, getting those letters out to families saying your child can enroll at wherever, but.
That option went away though, right, where you had to sign and say you were going to.
They can't make you. Legally, they can't make you do that.
Not legally binding.
Okay.
When's the last registration?
We usually do the last registration when elementary secretaries come back, which is 2 weeks before school starts, which is late. We've tried to do it at a central location. Was fraught with some problems. If we do it too early, as Tom said, some parents do wait until what we might think is the last minute. What they're thinking is, just in time. So it's difficult.
Historically, have you seen a massive influx in that August time period, or?
Well, if we get the expected sort of migration from the Friendship School, then I would say it's minimal. But if we don't get that, then I think we're waiting for it. So we're going to try to encourage people to get registered sooner rather than later, so that we can have those numbers. The good news is, again, Waterford's a very attractive place. And so if we have to even advertise over the summer for an elementary opening, I have a high confidence that we'll be able to get a highly capable staff member employed.
Because normally we have a contingency teacher in our budget, but we don't this year.
That's correct.
Because of this.
You do feel we are sitting on one grade level at two schools, so 2 grade levels total, where that are currently 4 sections, that we could potentially shift the teacher to kindergarten, and then if that grade level bubbled up, we could add a teacher. So we do have some flexibility in 2 out of the 3 schools to perhaps shift the teacher to a different grade level.
Okay.
I'm on that financial thing too. I think that everyone involved did a really good job considering what was handed to us as far as funding goes. I think the professional development drop there is none of us were happy about, especially with the staffing with moving people around. It's creates extra stress on people and things like that. So
Jody?
I know. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's on another piece on this, so I'll wait.
No, I was going to say I'm on the committee also, and there are tough decisions really, especially with the class sizes and the teachers. But I appreciate all the hard work that Tom and Craig and Joe did. I know it was hard coming up with that amount of money. I do feel badly about the special development because that money, if you divided amongst the number of teachers we have, it isn't that much money at all per teacher. And I don't know why the RTM made such a big deal about that.
Even with the cut, I can tell you that in the professional development, strategic planning remains, and the launch of a new teacher leadership academy. Those folks were notified today. So there's some new programs, even with the cut taking place.
Could we look into possibly teaming with other local schools to, join together for professional development, or try to figure out? I know sometimes we follow similar schedules.
We do that. I think we do.
We
already do that.
We certainly do that on the regional PD section, our big PD days, and where we may have a limited number of teachers, say in the area of English language learners.
Okay.
We've actually sent them to London Public Schools PD day to learn. So those collaborations, when we can, I meet monthly with my colleagues in the region, and we do talk about these things.
Okay.
So we are trying.
We'll look into grants, maybe.
Definitely.
So, just looking for additional funding here, if possible. So this controller card that I don't see Jay here, but can you explain?
Sure.
How you determine the amount of savings that might do? And
talking with the
controller
came down, there's no precision in it, right? The savings have yet to be demonstrated. So basically what was happening was the controller card that was installed over at Vicar Hill wasn't receiving the signals properly. So our, I forget what it's called.
Heat pump.
The heat pump was just running 24/7, 365. So it's all hypothetical. It's not demonstrated. I actually am not a fan of putting in undemonstrated savings, but I think it's a fair number to put in there for next year.
Another way to stack in that number is we think we know when the card went bad because we saw an increase in our electricity, and we're thinking that we would be able to reel that jump back to when the school opened for the first year of operation.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay.
Very thankful.
There's a motion on
Yep.
that.
Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Lisa? Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, now we're down to discussion and possible action regarding the tuition rates for the 2016-17 school year. That was enclosed in our packet.
This is an annual function of the board. It's setting the tuition rate for out-of-town students that wish to attend our schools. I don't know that we have any regular ed students this year, but it has to be done.
Any discussion? Okay, would someone like to make a motion then to adopt the new tuition rates for the 2016-17 school year. Lisa, is there a second? Okay, Craig? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving along. Okay, second reading and possible action and possible adoption of policies. Craig, do you want to go over that?
Yeah, so because I really spoke about questions at the last meeting and there were no other questions to the board, the first one for consideration is policy 4112.6, personnel records. So if you recall, we're basically dividing certified and non-certified out.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion? You want to do them all together or separate? Or?
I mean, if you're comfortable, you could. Okay, so I guess with that said, with the personnel records, the concussion, the district use of computer policy, the student discipline, the child abuse one, and the restraint and seclusion, if there are any further questions, I'd be happy to answer it. Otherwise, we could just do an approval of all those policies.
I think maybe we should just do them separately. Is that okay? All right. Yeah. Would someone like to make a motion then? The Waterford Board of Education approves and adopts policy 4122.6, personnel records, certified as presented. Want to do a second? I'll second it. Okay. Kathleen? Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion is carried.
And then this is the non-certified policy for 42.6, and again, it's the separation based upon what's FOIable.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Okay, second? Right? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay,
and the next
carried.
policy is policy 4115.2, which is the concussion management training, and this policy is catching up to our practice that we started already in July.
So moved. Okay, and is there a second? I'll second. Okay, now that ends the table. So very good. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion's carried.
And the next policy is 4118.237, which is our acceptable use policy. And it's really around the ability not to require anyone to surrender passwords and usernames.
Can I have a motion? So moved. Okay, Lisa? Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion's carried.
Next one is policy 5114, which is our student discipline policy. And this one, just catching, is really talking about the limiting of out-of-school suspensions for kindergartners through grade 2. Though not an issue in Waterford, it's a statutory change.
Okay, can I have a motion? Lisa? Second it, Kathleen? Okay, any discussion? It's pretty sad, though, when you have to think about doing that to kindergartners. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried.
So the next is policy 5141.4, which is suspect of neglect or sexual assault by students, and it's really to make a DCF call to children of any age if there's a sexual assault by a school employee, and it provides that principals do kind of an annual update for the mandatory reporter requirements under DCF.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve? Okay, Ann, Kathleen, you seconded? I will. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Next one is policy 5141.6, restraint and seclusion, and this is really severely limiting restraint, except for emergency intervention. Again, this is a policy that's catching up with our practice because our special ed director really has worked diligently with special ed staff about changes and what's restraint and what's not restraint.
Okay, can I have a motion? Kathleen? Is there a second? Okay. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. Now we're down to the first reading of policies.
Thank you. And so, continuing our policy marathon, first one, policy 352.41, is on test management application. This is really, again, catching up to what we currently do, which is student parents may register to apply and receive a notice if we're going to put down any pesticides at all. Jay has assured me that really we do a lot of glue traps and other things to limit sort of pesticides from being applied. He says our grass may not look as green because we're putting down limited natural fertilizers, but we're keeping it up. There was a question that came out of the policy committee around what is Park and Rec doing with fields that our students play on. Ryan McNamara, who's Assistant Director of Park and Rec, has responded with, again, their sort of fertilizing and grub control protocols being very minimal in sort of degree. It's something that they put on in golf courses and other areas where there's just high use. Jay got this information for me and was very comfortable that it's a close but not perfect match to what is in our school.
Do you think they might be able to do a perfect match, though?
I can certainly send this policy to Ryan to look at that in the future.
Because we have children on our fields and on golf courses, adults, and it may affect them differently. Okay.
So if there's any questions to this policy, I'll be happy to answer it tonight.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Otherwise, it will be going up for second reading.
Okay.
Next is policy 4112.5, and it's really around security and fingerprinting. And this is again one that also has that personal online account information not being requested, and kind of what we can ask new applicants and what we can't ask new applicants as far as information. Those new changes on pages letters D and E are highlighted and underlined for you. So if you have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. On to the next one.
Next is policy 4135.4, staff complaints and concerns. This policy really is how any staff complaints should be directed to the superintendent and basically being resolved in a natural process with either the collective bargainings or just personnel matters. So, Janice, I'm trying to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Okay. Next is on student attendance, truancy and chronic absences, policy 5113. This really delineates what a chronic absent student is. It also, the policy really hasn't changed too much, but in the regulations, we have that there's a review team, which we have. If kids are truant, then there's a process with sending kids to our juvenile review board system. Danny Gorman, our youth service director, has really worked to have two separate juvenile review boards. One if kids do something bad and need to make right, and another for chronic absence because those profile very differently. So a lot of the changes on regulations, lettered J page.
Okay, any questions or comments about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Moving right along, policy 6141.1 on curricular exemptions. Really just cleaning up an old policy with what the existing exemptions are. So again, if I have any questions, there's a process for parents to basically opt out in certain areas.
Any questions or comments? Okay.
And almost getting towards the end. The statewide mastery proficiency policy 6146.2 really just eliminating those CMT cap provisions, putting in a sort of neutral language that would allow for either the SBAC or the SATs to be the standard collection of information.
Okay, any questions?
Okay, and policy 6153, field trips, really there's a little enhancement with international field trips around timelines and parent notifications as far as exactly what the itinerary is going to be, so that parents know exactly what's going to go on. There's an updated student contract and other releases.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay.
Now, last but not least, bylaw 9325, which is meeting conduct, and this really is around how the board conducts meetings. It gives some explicit procedures for telephone participation, which we have had in the past, but we really haven't had clear policy language on, and also on how the public addresses the board. If there's any questions.
Any questions or comments about this policy? Okay.
Maybe better we'll just really look that one over. That's how we want to
Conduct our meeting.
So you operate, so it's important that be looked at.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Craig. Okay, now, would someone like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion about individually contracted employees?
They invite me in.
No, of course. And we'll invite Tom in. Okay, Marcia, is there a second? Okay, Lisa? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a nice Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'll have a couple little things that I'll send to you. Thank you. So I wanted